Well, Hogan's been in Jacksonville a long time. Back in 1816, my great uncle built his log cabin on what is now Hogan Street downtown. He was the first permanent settler in Jacksonville. My dad was a telephone man, and he led the singing at church. So we never missed, and my faith is the core of who I am. I graduated from the University of South Florida and met my wife there. We've been married for 37 years.
The core of our relationship is so strong, and God has tied us in a very strong way together.
Jennifer's is my oldest, and she has 3 little girls of her own. Then my oldest son is Josh, and he has 2 little girls. And then my youngest son's Joseph, and he's married. Actually, he fell in love with this girl in the 1st grade. She didn't love him then, but he pursued her a long time. They've been married about 2 years. My dad was always involved in politics, and so as a young person, I'm talking about ages 6 or 7, I would go with him to put out signs. And so I was always interested in politics. And of course, as a young person, had a dream one day to be mayor of the city of Jacksonville. I've served as a legislator, a policymaker on the city council and of course in the state legislature. And now as a tax collector, I've served as an administrator. So I think from a government experience standpoint, folks would be hard-pressed to match the experience that I have in an elected office.
Mike has the ability to surround himself with good, quality people. That, I believe, is what has made him such an exceptional leader.
During my 8 years on the city council, I held 100 town meetings. And the reason I did that was to connect with the people that I was representing. How do I know how to vote? What are their issues if I'm not talking with them? I had a plan prior to Better Jacksonville plan. The difference was you couldn't borrow against it. You couldn't bond the money. You prioritized. You had 10 projects, I think is what we had. At the end of 7 years, if you didn't have enough money to do projects 8, 9, and 10, you didn't do projects 8, 9, and 10 because I think you have to live within your means. Government can't continue operating on the premise that, well, we still have to operate. So what we're going to do is just raise revenues. We're going to come up with new fees, or we're going to increase the millage rate. We're going to find a way to meet the challenges by taking more money from the taxpayer. But locally, you know, the things that I believe that we can work on to stimulate our economy, first of all, we have to really use the port. That's our diamond in the rough. I believe that will be the key to turning this economic engine back on in Jacksonville. Across America, 80% of your businesses are small businesses, and we have to do something to make the soil fertile for those businesses to grow. So I would be very interested in creating a program to work with entrepreneurs to help them get started. There's a lot of ways we can do that without spending a lot of money, just making things easier for them to get started.
You never can please everybody, but you have to listen to everybody. And I think what Mike does well is he listens well, but he's also a man of integrity. So I trust Mike to make the decisions that he truly believes is the right decision to make. And I think as a politician, that's what you have to do.
Mike's always been a friend. And, you know, you look at people and say, well, he's a city councilman, he's a politician. I never thought of him just being a politician. He was a person that would get things done for you. So I said, that's a friend.
Every time we'd have a flood, he'd show up. He looked like he was on the verge of tears each time because he cared so much about the people. His heart was with us.
You can have promises, people can promise they'll do things, but when you know people like Mike, because of his faith, you can take it personally and know that he will see that through.
I think he's got a pretty good track record. He's served on our city council here. He's served in the Florida legislature. He's served us as tax collector. He was in management with the telephone company. That's pretty good credentials.
In finding the right person for the right job, Mike has not been afraid to fill those positions with the best fit. He has appointed several female members to his key staff, all of which have a strong background in government and leadership roles.
He's a very humble man, and one that takes his family and his obligations very seriously.
He's not an individual that will listen to you, pat you on the back, and look at the next person down the street who he's going to talk to.
Of all the city council persons over the entire 8 years that I served as a chief of veteran services, the only city council person that ever came to my office and sat down to find out how we did business.
I really believe without Mike's leadership, we would not have been able to build the Veterans Memorial Wall.
One of the things that we have frequently at the tax collector's office is a green light session where he wants to hear our ideas, not necessarily why we can't do something, but why we can do something, and what do we need to do to get there.
His energy is contagious. And we all, once he started, making suggestions to us about things and what we could do there at the school, we all joined right in.
That's the one I want to walk behind and work with him and tell him what I need, and then he'd come through.
If somebody asks you to recommend a doctor or a carpenter or a lawyer, you're a little reluctant to recommend for fear you'll have to go back and apologize. I can tell you without any hesitation or reservation, you'll never have to go back and apologize for recommending Mike Hogan for the mayor of Jacksonville.